2016, I sold Clean Image pressure washing, and it felt like my arrival moment. It was without a doubt the biggest hardship of my life and the biggest lesson of my life that I'm still dealing with. And I think I knew in my gut that God was telling me not to do it. He was giving me the path. He was giving me the vision. I chose money, and it was a big mistake.
Let's go.
Welcome to Wash and Win with Friends, the podcast for kingdom-minded entrepreneurs who want to start and scale their pressure washing business so that they can create jobs, make disciples, and serve their city. I'm your pilot, Joshua Brown, and each episode we will unpack real stories and systems with strategies to help you wash, win, and witness what God can do through you in your business. Let's get into it. Hey, welcome out to Mission Plan 316. I'm Joshua Brown, and today we've got Trevor Steel, the pressure washing pro behind Clean Image Pressure Washing and the host, correct me if I'm wrong, Through the Noise podcast.
That's it.
Yeah, hit the little links. Hey, real quickly, if you're just getting on, make sure you subscribe either on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, or Instagram. If you're in the trade or thinking about opening a pressure washing business, I want you to go ahead and go live with us at 3:16 p.m. Monday through Friday. And today, I've got an incredible guest, Trevor. We're going to go ahead and jump into your story. And I got a question for you. First, welcome to the show.
Glad to be here, man. Glad to be here.
Hey, glad you're here. So before Clean Image, before the podcast, what were you doing before you started the business?
Well, before I started the business, I was in middle school. So how far back do you want to go?
Yeah, let's not go that far back.
Yeah, I started pressure washing I was 16 years old. I'm 39 today. So you can do that math.
Let's go, dude.
Yeah, I've been in and out of the industry a lot. I sold in 2016. Didn't end well. We can get into that if you want to. But yeah, this has always been my thing. Pressure washing has always been kind of my my ADHD backdrop, if you will.
Yeah. So at 16, you started this business. If you were chatting with a 16-year-old today, or if there's a dude that's listening that's got a son that's thinking, man, I would love to start or help my son start a business, what is your advice or thoughts about that?
I think it's the perfect industry. There is no better industry for that age group. And I've actually never thought about it that way, but I would 100% encourage my children to pursue this on their own. There's so many reasons for it. It teaches work ethic. Number one, it teaches, finding that next dollar, which is sales, right? Sales is everything. Marketing and sales is everything in business and life. You're always selling or marketing something, right? So I think it's kind of like working at a dealership. If you can find a chance in life to go work at a car dealership, you're going to learn a lot about sales and life really quickly. So I would say, yeah, absolutely encourage your kids to do that. Make sure they do it with intention. Don't go 1 foot in, go all in. If you don't do it with intention, then it's just a side gig. It's just a side hustle where you make $400, $500 and you've got weekend money. That's not the same. It's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I want us to think for a second that there's going to be dudes that are listening to this interview and they do have children, and they do have some extra money and they're thinking, can I start a business or a legacy where my kids don't necessarily have to go to college? They can start a trades business. What's your advice when it comes to finding your first clients, starting your side hustle? If you're chatting with a parent that's thinking about doing this, where do they start even learning a little bit more about pressure washing?
YouTube, obviously. If you want to learn the tactics of pressure washing, you can go to YouTube and learn anything you need to learn probably very fast. But that discussion, that conversation needs to end very quickly. Just as quick as you learn, you need to stop. A lot of people that start in this industry, they get started and they start following these gurus on YouTube, and they think they've got to have the next 30, 40, $50,000 rig. It just don't do it. Learn how to downstream, learn how to use an XJet, learn how to wash a house. And the very most important thing you can do is work on your brand. Build your brand first. Go on Nextdoor, create a Facebook page, and work your sphere, work your influence, the people you know. That's it, man. You can build $100,000 a year service company in like this. It's so fast. It's so fast if you just do those three things. But you got to start with a brand. You got to start there, because when you're asking people to invest in you and your brand doesn't speak to your identity and your core values, it's just, you're wasting your time.
Let me take a break real quick from the podcast to let you know that I get asked the following question all the time. Joshua, you've grown a multi-million-dollar pressure washing business. You've launched other locations. If you were me, what would you do to scale my business? And what I'm about to say, I mean it. I would join a coaching community. If it's not ours, join somebody's, because you're way more likely to scale rather than fail if you surround yourself with the right people. Inside our community, everything we do is centered around three things: create jobs, make disciples, and serve your city. If you are ready to grow, I want you to head over to pressurewashingpastor.com and sign up for a free webinar today. Well, let's talk about your start off. Yeah, let's talk about your start off. And I appreciate you sharing that. We've actually got a guy coming in for a boot camp next week from Birmingham. And he said, man, I've been watching for 2 hours this guy in UK and YouTube videos, and I'm starting to learn all these chemicals. I'm like, dude, you're jacked up now because you've learned way too much information.
Too much.
You really just need to find one person, in my opinion, to learn from and just go from there. But let's talk about your story. When you were 16, you started the business. Why did you decide pressure washing?
So I actually didn't. I actually chose car detailing. Sort of. That's a stretch. I shouldn't call it car detailing. I actually just washed the neighbor's car, for $15 or whatever it was. Then I decided, you know what? There's something to this. I'm going to hand out flyers. I'm literally walking down the street, right? Washing with a bucket and their water. So I was not a car detailer by any means. But then I vaguely remember my dad saying something like, hey, you should consider washing their house while you're there. And it was like, well, how the heck do you do that? I don't even know what that is. And it kind of wasn't a thing. That's how old I am. I'm showing my age a little bit. But you could buy a pressure washer, right? Pressure washers were predominantly used for cleaning concrete. You would clean your driveway. You certainly wouldn't wash your house very often. It's not like a soft washing definitely was not a thing. But you would use the downstream injector, and you would put bleach in a 5-gallon bucket, and you would go to work, and it would take you all day to wash a house, right? And you're using a ladder, and you got the little black tip, and you're spraying. But I was 16 years old, and I just made $250 that day, and I was king of the world. So today, my son and I were chatting about, I've got 6 kids. I was chatting with Judah, my 8-year-old, and he's going to launch and if you're watching, he's going to launch a kettle corn business. And when we did the math of just doing a subscription to a local neighborhood, which is Durham Farms right down the road from us, that he could get maybe 10 or 15 clients, sell a $15 bag of kettle corn and get them on a monthly subscription. He's like, I can get $300 a month. And as an 8-year-old to start Juju's Isn't that awesome?
Dude, it's so, it's not. And then we're a homeschool family. And I'm like, babe, instead of the English and the math, let's go ahead and just teach them how to start a business. And I don't mean don't learn English and math, but the purpose of all of that is to learn how to start and scale a business. And so it's kind of the strategic advantage of a homeschool family.
I love it.
Hey, what's the fastest way? So I'm 16 years old. I'm watching this podcast, or my dad is forcing me to watch this because he's telling me that I need to start a side hustle. What's the fastest way to start getting leads? If you're coaching a 16-year-old, what would you say? Okay, you've got your pressure washer. You've watched me on YouTube. You've joined my podcast. What are some of the fastest way to generate leads?
Without a doubt, my 2 favorites are Nextdoor Nextdoor, especially for your age group, dude, they eat it up. They'll eat it up. They see this 39-year-old with an established brand, and they're like, okay, I can pay him $1,000, or I can pay little Johnny from down the street, and I grew up with his dad, great family, and I can pay him $450. That's what they're going to do, right? And so you start with Nextdoor. The other thing you want to do is you want to go live on Facebook while you're doing the job as often as possible. Do not do a single job without going live, talking about the job, where you are, and what you're doing. I think that those two things alone will keep you so busy.
You just shared two tips that we don't do at Brown's pressure washing here in Nashville. We don't really go live on site, and we don't use Nextdoor. For someone that's never used Nextdoor, can you just walk somebody through where do you find it? What is it? And then does it cost money? Is it free? Talk to me.
Yeah, don't give Nextdoor any money. They will, as soon as you show up on their radar, they will be asking for money. It's a complete waste of time. Until you're established, until you can handle the workflow. And even then, put your money somewhere else, and we can get into that discussion then. But Nextdoor is basically an app for communities inside of communities. So it could be your neighborhood. It could be a couple neighborhoods in one community. It could be like a zip code. I'm not exactly sure how that works, but basically it's based off of your, I guess, I don't know. I honestly don't. Maybe your address. They base it off of that. And so you have a community. It's like a Facebook page of all of your neighbors. So if you're looking for a pressure washing guy, especially certain age groups, like over 70 years old, they're all over Nextdoor. And they're looking for little Johnny from down the street who has 3 recommendations. And that's the other thing. You want to make sure you automate your review process. It's very important. So every single job you do, even if it's not you, you want to make sure you ask them to leave you a recommendation in Nextdoor if that's where they found you. And on Facebook, even if they didn't find you there, ask for it. Show them the link, create a QR code, get them to scan it. These things are important. Yeah.
Okay, I'm 16 years old. I'm quitting school because I just watched this podcast, and I'm buying me a video, a pressure washer, and I'm getting me on Nextdoor, and I'm going to start doing Facebook Lives and start washing people's houses. When I graduate school, let's say I'm in sophomore, maybe a junior, and when I graduate school, what is a realistic number of revenue if I'm dialed in just on Nextdoor, on Facebook, from your experience? A dude could be making how much money when they graduate high school?
Depends on how serious you take this. But without a doubt, you could be at $300,000 a year before graduating high school, and not even doing the job, not even doing the work. I did it. I had 2 full-time employees as a junior in high school, and I actually dropped out. That's another story. I ended up getting my diploma, but we won't go. Well, maybe we can circle back another day.
No, we want to get to know, but $300,000?
For sure. Yeah, you can do that in about 2 years, depending on your market and depending on your commitment level. Things to avoid window cleaning. I'm sorry if that offends certain people out there. Avoid becoming known as the window cleaner, because the I see some eyes rolling.
No, we don't do window cleaning. You're actually nailing an area of conversation that we can chat about.
Yeah. I think there's nothing wrong with it. As a matter of fact, I think you have to add window cleaning, because if you don't, they're just going to go with the company that also does window cleaning, just like gutter cleaning, right? I wouldn't build a gutter cleaning business, but you better offer it, because if you don't, they're calling the next guy down the street. So you want to specialize as a soft washing, exterior cleaning, pressure washing company. That's the most important thing in my eyes, my opinion.
So for you, would you say you were making 6 figures when you graduated? I mean, we're talking 100 years ago too.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah.
I mean, it's like $1 million today.
I guess so. Man, I remember when $1 million was like, you were really doing something in the pressure washing industry back then if you had $1 million in revenue. Today, it's kind of like the launching point. It's like, all right, now we can start doing something. But yeah, you can absolutely do that. And it's simple math, right? just do your average ticket. You need to start learning tracking and numbers as soon as possible. Don't get too focused on it too early. You need to learn how to market yourself, number one. You need to learn how to do the job.
So when you graduated high school, you were making six figures, which was $1 million in 1970. And so today, what does an ideal neighborhood look like? So I'm assuming if I lived in the middle of nowhere, I'm not going to be making, six figures, but talk to me about an ideal. How do I know that I actually live in a neighborhood? I live in an area that I could actually grow a six-figure pressure washing business as a teenager in high school.
Okay, so this is going to be opposite of what most people think. Are the houses in your area generally clean, or are they generally dirty? If they're dirty houses, you're in the wrong area. You do not want to market to dirty houses. There's a reason the house is dirty. You want to knock on doors, because I know kids love that door knocking stuff. You want to knock on doors where the neighborhood's clean, where the house is clean, where the yards are pristine, that everything's put away. They understand what it means to have curb appeal. If you go to a neighborhood with no HOA and a rundown trucks all over the place, it's exactly what you're going to get. They're going to try and beat you up on the price. That's number one. Also, I want to make sure I say this. Start where your feet are, right? You want to, if you're starting a pressure washing company and you go to Home Depot and you spend $1,200 on a machine, there's nothing wrong with that. Just don't go after the high end neighborhoods and try and be something you're not. You're not efficient yet. You're not efficient enough yet to do those types of projects. What's going to happen is you're going to end up getting burnt out. You're going to get a bad rep. Build that reputation in those smaller neighborhoods with the 3,000 square foot houses, and crush them. Absolutely crush them. Go home with $600 by 2 p.m. every day. And I'm speaking to the younger crowd, right? But if you're going to invest money day one and get a rig and have that monthly payment, or invest actual capital in it yourself, then again, start with the brand, right? If you don't have the brand, you can count on it that high end neighborhood's not going to let you in the gate. It's just the way it is.
Trevor, you're so good, and the value that you're sharing here, I can see a bunch of teenagers sharing this and say, "Hey, let's watch this podcast.
Cool,
let's
man.
go, check out Through the Noise." Speaking of your podcast, it's kind of built on honesty inside of entrepreneurship. Why is honesty even a part of the conversation when it starts with starting a business?
Man, it's so easy to say just, integrity and honesty is everything. But the truth is the integrity and the honesty needs to start with yourself. You need to be honest and with yourself, number one, right? Through the Noise is the name of my podcast, because for most of my life, I was telling myself stories, and hyping myself up and telling myself I'm this person and I'm going to prove everybody wrong. And there's nothing they can say. You can't tell me anything. I know what I'm talking about. I'm the best. That's all there is to it, right? And I felt that in my heart. I really believed it. But God had an interesting way of humbling me several times in my life and pointing out that I am nothing without God, period. I can't do anything without God, because every time I try, he reminds me, and that's painful, not fun. Also another story. But I'm not sure I'm even answering your question right now.
No, the reason this is called Mission Plan 316 is because ultimately I believe God's going to pour out his spirit upon the marketplace. I believe people like you and me and other business owners that generate business and make money aren't only going to be making money, but they're going to be on mission. And so when you bring up God in the conversation, we're talking about something that is bigger than us. And ultimately, we feel convicted, or at least I feel convicted, that we have to be on his mission while we make money in the marketplace, which is why we have this time together. And so let me ask you a question. Since we're on this conversation of faith, how has faith or mission fueled your approach differently than just chasing the dollar?
Every time I chase a dollar, I fail miserably and quickly. Praise God, it's quickly. I'm still dealing with things from my past that were mistakes, because I was like, there's the thing, there's the gold, I'm going for it. And I'm still dealing with it. My mission, all of our missions as believers in Christ is to chase righteousness and to help his people, and to love people. And most of my life, I've avoided that, and that's just the honest truth. And so there's been a shift in my life where the money is. Trying to think of the name of the guy in the Bible. Help me out. The richest man to ever live.
Solomon.
Solomon, thank you. Okay, Solomon. What did he pray for? God gave him one wish essentially, and he prayed for wisdom. Man, if I could have started there 23 years ago instead of chasing the gold and chasing the wisdom, biblical wisdom. Wisdom is not how to run this business, right? It's how to become the person you have to become in order to achieve the goals that God has called you to. And I always focused on the wrong things. It's like, okay, if I want to learn sales, I'm going to go buy 15 sales books. I'm going to have 22 conversations with sales gurus, and I'm going to dial down on sales, right? And it was always me, 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 me. And instead of me saying, hey, Lord, where should I start? How do I do this? You're the Lord of my life, and I'm giving this to you. Give me the wisdom. So I think the conversation inside my head just changed at some point. And so I'm no longer pursuing the money. I'm pursuing what's required of me to become the person worthy of the money.
Was there ever a moment where you got what you thought you wanted, and let's say it was a payout? What was it? And then if so, did it bring about the fulfillment that you were looking for?
2016, I sold Clean Image pressure washing, and it felt like my arrival moment. It was without a doubt the biggest hardship of my life and the biggest lesson of my life that I'm still dealing with. And I think I knew in my gut that God was telling me not to do it. He was giving me the path. He was giving me the vision. I chose money, and it was a big mistake. Big mistake.
If you had to do it all over again, knowing what you know now, would you do it differently?
Well, my gut tells me to say no, right? Because of the lessons learned. God put me there for a reason. He had things to show me, and he chose things that were super obvious and blatant. And that tends to be my personality, right? I'm going to do this. I'm going to bootstrap this. I can handle it. Let's go. Get out of my way, right? Well, God says, okay, do your thing. I'll see you on the back end. We're back here again, Trevor. Really? So that's kind of, I'm just tired of doing that, and I'm not going to do that anymore. But yeah. Hey,
do you mind sharing how much you sold your business for?
We're still dealing with lawsuits, so I'm going to avoid that conversation. Yeah.
Wowzer. Are you allowed to share how much you were thinking you were going to sell it for? Because I know. So here's the deal. I just want you to think for a second. People are watching. They're listening. You started when you were 16. Let's say I'm going to make up that you're 40. Let's say that was 9 years ago. So you had a business for somewhere around, 15, 20 years. Is that somewhere about right?
Well, let's be honest. When you're 16 years old, it's not much of a business, right? It was more of a hobby. By the time I turned 21, that's when I started taking it seriously. From 21 to about 23, epic failure after epic failure, going all in, right? I can handle this. I'm taking on huge contracts I had no right taking. Ended up failing miserably. That business completely went under. Moved back home to South Carolina, started the business back up, had a whole new vision. This is how I'm going to do things. I've got a new business model, but it's the same industry, right? And built it to right at about $1 million company a year, and basically was just digging a hole because I had no idea how to run a business. Digging a hole with payroll tax. I had 11 guys full time at the time, and I ended up with about a $60,000 payroll tax at the end of the year that I couldn't pay. About that same time, this guy came knocking on my door and said, hey, I want to buy you out. How's this work? And so we started seeing like the progression. So I was scaling rapidly, growing the business rapidly. Everything was great, but the damage was done. Right. So it was like, okay, I'm seeing some light at the end of this tunnel. Maybe there was a reason for this. And so that's when I took the buyout and moved forward. Took about a year of negotiations. I finally said, all right, I honestly don't know what I'm doing. I can run a business. I just don't know how to, I can operate a business. I just don't know how to run a business. Big difference. So again, I wasn't praying for the right things. Wasn't pursuing the right things. I was pursuing growth and scale and revenue when I wasn't ready for it. And that's where we ended up. So anyway, the buyout was more of like a goodwill buy. You can't buy a business that is in financial torment, right? It's hard to even track that. How do you even look at the numbers and justify? My P&Ls were a wreck.
Gotcha.
It's like, so it's really hard to. So when I say I sold it, I did sell it, but it was we had to get really creative. And I ended up signing an employment contract with them. And I'll tell you what, my salary was $100,000 a year, and I was supposed to get 49% profit share. So you can imagine going, $100,000 a year is 10% of my gross revenue at the time. So that's hard to do.
Hey friends, I'll bring you right back to the podcast in a second. If you've been thinking about starting or scaling your pressure washing business, I want to invite you to our free Wash and Win with Friends webinar. In just 45 minutes, we'll walk you through the exact steps to launch profitably, build systems that scale, and ultimately create jobs that bless your community. You'll see how we're helping kingdom-minded entrepreneurs create jobs, make disciples, and serve the city all through pressure washing. It's totally free. Just click the link inside of the notes or visit pressurewashingpastor.com today. There's so much value in what you just said, because it's actually the failures in our lives that we learn the most from versus our successes. And so I really appreciate you being transparent. Super kind of you to be on the show to share these details of your life and your business. If you could give one piece of advice, and man, this happens all the time. Somebody grows a business, they end up buying more things, they use money for lifestyle versus making sure they have money for taxes. All of us, we don't know how to manage money. We were in ministry. We didn't know what we were supposed to be doing. And if you had to go back and give yourself advice 2 years before all of that stuff transpired, where things started going downhill, the pain of like, man, I just want to get rid of this business, what would you say to somebody in those shoes that are like, man, I don't think there's anything else I can do with my business right now except for sell it. I'm in burden right now and I want to get away from the burden. What coaching advice do you have for them?
Slow down. Number one, you're on God's time, not yours. He's trying to reveal things to you right now. And chances are you're not listening because you're distracted and blinded by greed and pride. I would say cut expenses as fast as possible. You don't need all that stuff. Get rid of it. You don't need the shop. You don't need the office. Get rid of it. Simplify. Go back to the basics and focus on profit, period. Whatever you have to do, focus on profit and then grow slowly and organically. Don't let yourself dig a hole. Unfortunately, the pressure washing industry our average ticket is not high enough to dig you out of a hole. So if you think that you can grow year over year and fix the problems you're creating this year, you're wrong. Don't do it. Slow down, cut your expenses, get back in the field and go to work.
Wow, that's such great advice. I almost feel like that's just a great spot to segue to the close of our show. Thank you again for sharing that.
Dude, awesome.
Trevor, give someone today who's desperate for work in the trades one action they can do right now to start winning customers. So let's pretend for a second they have a business and they're like, dude, I've got no work coming in and they're in a good market. What is something they can do today to start winning jobs?
Okay, so if you already have a business and you already have a client list, you need to, without harassing them, you need to take advantage of that client list. Don't ever send them, bulk emails with no value. Don't ever do that. Always add value. Add services, seasonal services. So if you're in the pressure washing industry, you should be doing gutter guards without question. If you're in the pressure washing or window cleaning industry, you should be looking into Christmas lights. You should be finding ways to add value to your existing client base, not add clients. Adding new clients is much more difficult than selling new services to existing clients who already trust you. So focus on that, double down on that, and start cold calling them, man. Cold call those people. Don't let it go 6 months past. If you just did a house 6 months ago, you need to make sure you stay in touch with them.
But I tried that and that's not working. What do I do, Trevor?
Well, if that's your answer, then I got nothing for you. You know, maybe get a 9 to 5.
Thank you. You need to say USUCK, which is a bad word in our home. We're a homeschool family, very conservative. But to be honest, if you've got reasons you can't grow, you've got reasons to let somebody else grow. And if you want to blame somebody, just look in the mirror. You can grow your business if you want to grow your business. This is actually a touchy point for me because we do coach and we do have folks that we're trying to help scale. And it's like, if you're not scaling, it's because you're not working. It's that simple. All right, finish. Did you have something you wanted to add?
No, I think, if you don't have an existing client base, I personally don't believe in door knocking, but that's probably just my personality. And I believe that, number one, guys, create your core values, who you want to be as a company, who you are actually. If it's not authentic, if it's not real, then people are going to read right through it. Your brand should identify with you personally and who you are. I'm a clean person. If you came to my office, if you went to my house, if you went and looked in my truck right now, you would know, okay, he lives by his name. It's authentic. It's real. So be authentic, be real, and then pursue your clients that will naturally be drawn to that core value system. And it's funny how all that authenticity comes off as real when you try to market yourself in social media, because social media has a funny way of weeding you out if you're trying to be something you're not. So build your brand around something you are. If you're energetic, if you're pumped, you're always moving fast, build a brand around that, and you're going to get clients that appreciate that and are drawn to it. Be authentic.
That's so good. I'm going to give you final words, but before I do, if anyone is looking to start or scale a pressure washing business, I actually have a free webinar. You can just go to pressurewashingpastor.com. You can schedule up for a free event where we can talk about how to start and scale a pressure washing business. Trevor, there's a lot of webinars out there that show the wows, but not the hows. The way we do the webinar is I go step by step on what I would do if I sent my son to your city to start a pressure washing business. So if you know anybody looking to learn and find out how to start and scale, send them to pressurewashingpastor.com. Trevor, final words, something that's in your heart, in your mind today that you want to share with anybody that's tuning in.
Yeah, I got something. Okay. So this is, I have my morning routine. And by the way, if you think you don't have a morning routine, you do. You just haven't figured out that it's your routine yet. So you need to own your morning, right? Own your day. I know you've seen that. All the social media gurus out there are saying, oh, here's my morning routine. I wake up and I do my ice bath and I sit in the sauna and I run 22 miles. Whatever, man, do you, right? But that's not me. I spend time with God. So this is what I call it. I call it my big three. If you're having a hard time, you're feeling angry, you're feeling anxious, these are all things that I deal with a dozen times a day, easy, And so I catch myself in certain moments doing certain things. And also my big three is if I do nothing else today, at least I got my big three done. So my big three are this. Number one, be still with God. So be still, take a deep breath. If something just triggered you, you got upset, whatever it is, or if you just, you're starting your morning and you want to have you just be still with God. That's the first one. Take a deep breath, right? Be still with God. Number two is find gratitude. Find a way to have grace and gratitude about something in your life. Something's going right. Something is number one, you're alive and you're breathing, right? So find gratitude. It's the secret sauce to life. And then the third thing is get moving. Don't sit there in your own pity. Don't wallow. Go exercise. Get up, get moving. If you start feeling anxious about something, get up, get moving. Those are my big three: be still, find gratitude, get moving.
That's so good. I was chatting with a lady who is a Messianic Jew. Are you familiar with that term?
I am.
Yeah. And at 42, she come to know Jesus as Lord. And the passage of scripture that you just shared is a passage that she shared. And it's actually almost like a meditation and a breathing technique all at the same time, and spending time with God. And it is be still. And you kind of breathe this in and you're meditating, be still and know I am God. And it's almost this idea that we aren't the who to solve all the things in this world.
Right.
We are to be still and know that God has got it all. And so I love the fact that you shared that tool. But hey, if anyone is still here or you watch the whole thing, I want to invite you to a new community that we're launching off these platforms. It's called the As You Go Network. It's designed to connect Christian entrepreneurs and faith-driven business owners that desire to create jobs, make disciples, and serve the city so they can make an impact while making an income and leave a lasting legacy. There's a lot of business coaches out there. There's a lot of communities that want to help you grow your business. I don't want to just help grow your business. I want to help grow out God's mission inside of your business. So you can join for free. You get content, and we can end up connecting you to community and coaching. But it's a free network for anybody that's interested in finding out more. It's asyougo.network. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the future. Trevor, you are a phenomenal guest. And it's my ask that you come back again, maybe next month, and we talk a little bit about what it looks like to be and make disciples inside of our business.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Hey guys, thank you again for joining this episode of Wash and Win with Friends, hosted by Brown's Pressure Washing. If this conversation helps you out, please do us a favor. Subscribe on wherever you consume your podcast or this video so you never miss a new story. As a reminder, we drop full episodes every Sunday morning and daily shorts packed with advice and inspiration. And if you've got a story that this community needs to hear, please apply to be a guest on the podcast. Just simply go to asyougo.network and you can apply. Until next time, keep washing, keep learning, and keep winning.